John Ross is turning heads. From not being signed to being signed, all of a sudden, he's making his way up the depth chart. And my man, Brandon Graham, just confirmed everything we thought about the Eagles and their coaches last year. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, Dingbat here. So we are hitting day 2 of mandatory mini camps, and I gotta tell you, if you really sit back and you honestly look at how a lot of people perceive the Eagles this year, even including some Eagle fans, I think most of them think we're not going to be that good. They think we're overrated or we spent too much money in free agency, all that kind of stuff. I'm here to tell you that I believe this team is really, really good. When I look at this team, when I look at some of the players, when I hear them talk, I get the vibe that, man, there's just something about this team that's going to be a lot better than a lot of people think. There are guys on this team that are hungry. They want to win. They want to show themselves. Devin White is one of the guys I'm talking about. He is about to have a monster year, okay? And Brandon Graham, let me tell you, Brandon Graham confirmed everything that we've been thinking about this team when it comes to last season and what happened this offseason. People want to say, well, how did the Eagles really go out and change their defense? Or what dramatic thing did the Eagles do different that is going to make them so much better or change things from a year ago? I can tell you, the biggest thing is exactly what Brandon Graham said, which is we didn't have all the right coaches in the right positions. Brandon Graham said this himself. They did not have the right coaches. And when the bleeding started, they didn't know how to stop it. And I'm not saying that all those coaches are going to be horrible coaches or they are horrible coaches. But when you had the collective group of a bunch of young coaches with no experience and things started happening and the players wanted to go talk to the coaches and they started to lose. And once it started to like build up and start rolling, these guys had no chance. And this team collapsed because the coaches did not know how to get out of it. And then, you know what happens. A snowball starts as a little ball and it keeps rolling down the hill and it gets bigger, and you can't stop it. Philly 500 eats 1 chip, and the next day he's got 10 chips, 15 chips, 20 mother hopping chips, and there's ice cream gone. That's how it happens. So, I think it just got away from them. I don't think they had coaches that were good enough to basically fix what was the problem. That change, with the amount of coaches that have changed, especially on the defensive side of the ball, this is a different team. It's a different team. And then when you add all the players that they've added, the Saquon Barkley. Let me tell you, Saquon Barkley, you don't think he's motivated? Saquon Barkley has been playing with a trash team with no offense for years. People have said, he's overrated, he isn't worth it. You don't think he's not motivated to come out there and show everybody how good he is? Now that he's actually got weapons around him? You don't think Devin White is motivated to come out there and show that he was who he was before everything that went bad in Tampa? You remember him in the Super Bowl. He was one of the best linebackers in the league. It's still there. He still has it in him. You don't think Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter want to prove how good they are? This is a motivated team. Highly motivated, highly ready to go. And I'm telling you, I think people are actually sleeping on this team. I think they're going to be a lot better. The only thing that, to me, that really could hurt the Eagles and may be a problem, and I don't know how much it's going to be, is the coach. If the coach tries to meddle in the offense too much and tries to force them to do too much what he wants and not what Kellen Moore wants, who, by the way, Kellen Moore is a motivated coordinator. Here's a guy that has gone out and he has been what? He has been totally blamed for Dak Prescott being all right? because he's a choker, Kellen Moore has had to deal with it. Then he goes to the Chargers last year for 1 year. It all goes bad. You don't think he's motivated to show people that, hey, listen, I'm a really good offensive coordinator. I'm a good coach. I could be a good head coach. You got highly motivated coaches. You got highly motivated players. You got a highly motivated front office. This team has all the recipes and everything in place to surprise a lot of people. Now, there are a lot of Eagle fans like me. I think they're a 12 to 14 win team. I do. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people think they're 8, 9 wins, 10 wins. Even a lot of Eagle fans. Just going to keep it real. I think they're going to be good. And I think they're going to be good because it's not always about who you go out and get or who you draft. It's how they fit into the team, how they fit into the organization, and how motivated they are. I'm a big believer. I think it was Bill Belichick that said, like, when you win a Super Bowl, he tried to change like between 20 to 30% of his roster. Like, you want guys motivated. You want guys that are hungry. All right, and to me, this is a hungry team. If you look at players on an individual level, there's a lot of guys that have a lot to prove. Jalen Hurts, highly motivated to show that last year and the struggles at the end of the year were it, and he can get back to form. Saquon Barkley, highly motivated to show people he's as good as what he is. Okay, you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They got paid. But you can't tell me that after all the talking and crap that was done about A.J. Brown last year and this offseason, he ain't motivated to go out there. Jordan Davis, highly motivated to go out there, okay? Jalen Carter wants to show how good he is. You have Nakobe Dean coming back from injury. People think he's a bust. He wants to show it. Devin White. I mean, this team is highly motivated, okay? Even James Bradberry, who, by the way, on day 2 of camp, he's hurt. So he ain't going to be taking any reps at safety or anything like that because he's hurt already. I do worry about James Bradberry, and that's a whole nother issue. But Brandon Graham... Dude, there's like jets flying around again. But Brandon Graham went out there and he told us, he said, this team did not have the right coaching staff in place last year. That's the main reason the Eagles collapsed. We know it, and I believe the Eagles have fixed it, okay? So today, we're heading into day 2 of camp. And oh, by the way, I got to say this because I forgot to say this early on. But I want to wish my daughter, my youngest daughter, a happy graduation. She's got a graduation I'll be going to within probably the next 45 minutes. I'm going to do this video real quick and try to post it, and then I'll be at a graduation for today. But congratulations to my youngest daughter on graduating middle school. She's going to high school next, but they got this big celebration for middle school. I don't remember any celebration when I was in middle school, but it is what it is. Now, as far as our Eagles are concerned, they are out for day 2 of camp, all right? Like I said, there is going to be no James Bradberry today. Also, Trevor Keegan, he is not practicing. Not sure why, but he is not going to be there. And I know Fletcher Cox is in attendance today. Okay, so day 2 of camp is underway, and to me, one of the things that I want to say right up the front is it's so interesting because if you look at mini camps right now and you look at who are the standouts, who's having great days, it's usually between receivers and secondary guys, defensive backs. And why? Because there's no hitting, there's no contact, they're not running to the running backs, and it's really more or less a passing camp. And that's why you see guys who are always looking good are usually the defensive backs or the wide receivers in these situations like mini camps, even in training camp practices when they don't go and put on all the pads. Now, I will say this. I also think that the Eagles' defensive backs are very, very deep, and I think you got a lot of really good guys. So I think you have both those things going on right away. And obviously, when you have training camp or even a mini camp, you get the Elliott Shore Parks quarterback production days. And these I always find to be hilarious because I don't think it means a whole lot of anything. But people make such a big deal about Jalen Hurts going out there and throwing balls. And if he throws anything off, or if he throws an incompletion, or if he's working on something with his footwork, none of that is taken into account with footwork or working on anything, right? But they count his completions and his attempts and touchdowns and interceptions. To me, I don't put much stock in it, but here's what he said. Day 2 of mandatory minicamp wasn't a great one for Jalen Hurts. Oh my gosh, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And the offense, as they continue to adjust to a new playbook, most of Hurts' completions were short checkdowns for under 10 yards. Oh my gosh, what are we ever going to do? Jalen Hurts' minicamp stats, day 2, 15 of 20. So we get 15 of 20, which is most. 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, a grade C. Oh boy, people are going to panic and flip out and say Jalen Hurts isn't the guy and all this stuff. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's, a lot of times with quarterbacks, it's like pitchers in training camp, in spring training. I remember when Cliff Lee was with the Phillies, and he was getting rocked in spring training, and everybody's like, what's wrong with Cliff Lee? What's wrong with Cliff Lee? He was working on a new pitch. You don't know if Jalen Hurts is working on something, footwork, certain things, and I think it's so overblown, but it is what it is. You always get that. Jalen Hurts will be fine. Jalen Hurts is a gamer. I'd like to see Jalen Hurts in. Let's see what Jalen Hurts looks like come preseason. Let's see him get some reps and let's see him play. Then we'll be fine. The last thing that I worry about is Jalen Hurts, okay? I think Jalen Hurts is going to be just fine. Now, one of the things that they were really doing, especially with these defensive backs, is it looks like they're rotating these guys in. Today you had Isaiah Rodgers, not Kelee Ringo, start off with first team across from Darius Slay. Ringo got snaps with the first team early on, but it was Isaiah Rodgers today. And let me say, it just doesn't really last. Just because he starts off practice like that, it doesn't mean a whole lot to me because they're rotating these guys in and out. Isaiah Rodgers got some first-team reps. Then you had Quinyon Mitchell. He actually got first-team reps today as well. Ringo gets first-team reps. And then you got DeJean, who goes into the slot. He goes on to the outside. They move him all around. DeJean almost made a great one-handed interception, by the way, that he dropped. And then C.J. Gardner-Johnson let him have it and gave him hell for it, which you got to like. You got to love C.J. Gardner-Johnson. But, these defensive backs continue to look really, really good. And like I say, a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're in camp and you're basically just throwing the ball. So they're going to have a much better chance to stand out. Now, as far as the linebackers were going, it's Zach Bond again and Devin White. Devin White is... all I can say at Devin White is I got a lot to say about Devin White. It's gonna have to do a whole new video on him because Devin White is a monster. He's a monster, but he's looking good in camp. He's looking really, really good in camp. Bond, people are comparing him and making the comments that Eagles see him as T.J. Edwards like. They think he could be like that. I'm fascinated by Bond. I wasn't, when they signed him, yeah, okay, whatever. Now I'm really interested to see this guy play. I want to see him play. How's he going to look? But he's out there getting first team reps with Devin White. Nakobe Dean, he rotates in, and, it'll be interesting to see. I don't even know what to think with Nakobe Dean, except for I hope you can stay healthy, and get on the field and show us what you can. On the offensive side of the ball, Mekhi Becton was taking snaps at left guard today, so that's not surprising. And I'm gonna say, if I had to give a standout award today to who stood out, we've talked so much about the defensive backs. How about another name? How about a guy who's come in, he wasn't even signed a few weeks ago by the Eagles, and he's looking better and better. He's looking good, and I'm talking about John Ross. John Ross, they're saying, looks really good. They're saying he looks really fast, but he's making catches. I think he's turning heads. I think John Ross is actually impressing the Eagles coaches, and he is making this thing. He's making this thing a battle at the wide receiver spot. This guy's got a shot. I'm rooting for him, man. I feel like he making the 53-man roster would be to me a surprise, because if you ask me, I would say right before they signed him, I would have said he's got no chance. But he's turning heads, man. If John Ross could go out there and just play well and make this team, I would love it. But John Ross today had a few good catches. He's looking good the last 2 days. Remember, he was at rookie minicamp, and he wasn't even signed with the Eagles. He was just invited to come. Then he signed after Devontae Parker retired, and he comes in. And by all accounts, he is making a name for himself. Not that he didn't have a name before. Well, he kind of didn't. I mean, maybe coming out of college, but he's making himself and his presence known. And I can't wait to see what he does in preseason. He is one of those guys that you're going to have to watch very, very closely. Will Shipley, they said, caught a lot of balls out of backfield. So hard to judge the running backs in like a situation like this, because you don't not doing anything really. So John McMullen said Isaiah Rodgers was back with the first team at right corner today. We talked about that. Ringo and Mitchell also got reps today. We talked about that. The dime they're putting Slay, Ringo, Maddox, Mitchell was also back there, and Zach Baun got a look in the dime linebacker. So that's pretty interesting as well. It's once again a team that is really deep at the defensive backs and how many that they have. And they're all seem to be making plays. Mitchell's making plays. Ringo's making plays. DeJean, he made a play. Could have almost had a great one-handed interception. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he's going to be a staple. And then, of course, you got Bradberry. He's hurt. So who knows, But yeah, if I would say my day one standout, I would say was Ringo. My day two standout, I'm giving it to John Ross. John Ross had a day, man, and I am going to be keeping an eye on him to see if he can make this team. But day two is pretty much in the books. Should be now. They may be having press conferences. I will have to check that later, because I've got to get this video done so I can go to this graduation. So with that said, you guys take care. I will talk to you later. And of course, don't be a dingbat. Okay, so one thing I didn't talk about, but I definitely wanted to talk about, was Hassan Reddick. Did you guys see what's going on with Hassan Reddick? Hassan Reddick hasn't been to OTAs. Didn't show up for minicamp. The coach was like, I didn't even talk to the guy. They didn't even talk to the guy. They don't even know where he's at, what he's doing. Like, if Hassan Reddick ends up holding out for the Jets, to me, it was worth trading him. It was not worth the hassle to go through all of that stuff. And maybe, just maybe, that's why the Eagles got rid of him. They knew he was going to do this. They knew this was going to be a problem, and they just didn't want to deal with it. And they just flat out said, to hell with this. We're done. We're done. I don't know, but it's really interesting. Reddick, he wants a new contract, and he didn't even show up to the Jets. And all I wonder with the Jets is, how could you not know that this was going to happen? How could the coach not talk to him? You don't know? How could you not know before you trade for him? Very weird situation. Denzel Washington out.
Oh, dude, what the fuck?
The Cooper! The flying
Oh my
Frenchman!
god. Oh my god.
C'est bon! I'm dizzy. We did it. We transformed the Philadelphia Eagles secondary. We now have a secondary that is going to be good for years to come. Because one, we got Quinyon Mitchell, but we also got the flying Frenchman, Cooper DeJean. That's right. The flying Frenchman, Cooper DeJean, says a ball. Oh, here's another interception. That's right. Cooper DeJean is about to dominate the NFL. Can't wait to see him out on the field. And if you're like me and you thought this was a great move by the Eagles and you support this pick, then you definitely want to check out this shirt. The Cooper DeJean Flying Frenchman shirt. Look at this thing. You can see him in midair, flying through the air, transforming to an eagle. That's right. Cooper DeJean is here. Link is in the description. Get your shirt now while you can, because Cooper DeJean is about to take the Eagles to another level. Denzel Washington out.